Welcome back to TV5 News at 9. It's time now for Education Matters. We are here with Dr. Craig Douglas. Thank you so much for joining us again, Dr. Douglas. We need you today.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, summer's in full swing, but parents and teachers, they're really focused on getting back into the classroom. Governor Whitmer released her Return to Learn plan, so tell us all about that roadmap, Dr. Douglas.
Well, we have learned a lot in the last 9 days, no question about it. The legislature came out with their plans at a news conference, and then the governor 2 days ago followed up with the release of her document entitled Michigan Safe Schools Roadmap to Reopening. There are several observations I would offer. First, some great news in the present tense, and that is both the legislature and the executive branch have settled on backfilling current deficits. And that's important for schools because school audits are now underway. Budgets are wrapped up for the current school year just closing out, and now they're getting ready to reopen, as you said in the opening comments. So that's very good news in the present tense. Now for the roadmap, I would really encourage parents and students to Google it and read it. It's a 63-page document. Now that sounds overwhelming, but it's really tied to the phases that the state happens to be in during the pandemic. Let me try and illustrate this. It's on a scale of 1 to 6, and phases 1, 2, and 3 are very bad. 1, 2, and 3, basically schools would not open, functions would be online, much like the stay-home environment that we ended this current school year under. Phases 4 and 5 are kind of more middle ground, and phase 6 would be post-pandemic. So schools will be tied to the various phases that the state would be in. I think that's a very clear strategy for parents and for students to understand what kind of expectations they would face when school opens in early fall. Let me illustrate just one example. If a school is if the state's in either phase 4 or 5, schools would then be perhaps tied to those phases for field trips. So in phase 4, schools would be prohibited from taking field trips to indoor facilities. Phase 5, they would be allowed to take field trips under certain conditions. I hope that illustration gives you just one slice of the very, very detailed plans that are involved in the roadmap document. I would say the roadmap will serve kind of like an encyclopedia for schools in terms of what is required of them, what's strongly recommended for them, or what's recommended and optional for them. Schools actually within the roadmap will design their own scenarios, their own protocols, and that's where parents may want to weigh in on local community school district options. Some considerations I would offer. It's a safe bet now that schools will likely open. We are now in phase 4 in most of our state, and phase 5 in the Upper Peninsula and Upper Lower Peninsula. So it looks like schools likely will open. But within that, Colette, flexibility will be a key. And you've heard me say that for weeks now.
Yes.
This document really lays that out. Second, it's likely that face masks will be involved in each of the phases, except phase 6, where it's post-pandemic. In each of the first 5 phases, various levels of face masks are required. In general, face masks will be required on school buses, for example. So face masks, and I'm out and about in the community a little bit. I don't see a lot of youngsters with face masks. This will be something parents will need to work with their youngsters on if they're not used to wearing them. And it depends on the age of the student, the phase that the state's in, etc. The final consideration I'm just going to throw out there to wrap up, and that is it's clear that athletics will change. In the phases, athletics and extracurricular activities and after-school events are impacted depending upon the stages. One widely reported theory is that there's a possibility, and I'm going to underscore a possibility, that football, high school football, might actually move to the spring of next year. to accommodate some of the restrictions that are described within the roadmap. I've just touched upon the tip of the iceberg of all the document's contents. It's very clear, very well done, but it's very, very comprehensive.
It is, Dr. Douglas. I have to ask you this quickly because I've been talking with a lot of parents out there, and they're saying if their kids have to wear face masks, they are considering seriously keeping them at home and homeschooling them. So what do they need to consider between homeschool and letting them return to school?
Well, in general, that's a tough call for any home, any parent, family unit, whether to keep their students at home to homeschool. That's certainly an option, the way the rules are set up. I would echo what I heard the governor say the other day, and that's that students are doing this currently in other countries. The other children have adapted and have conformed, and I would hope, and I think the governor indicated this in her press conference, I would hope that overall reason would prevail and that people would finally come to the realization that the face masks are tied to safety, and safety is tied to a better learning environment.
I think that's very important to say. Thank you, Dr. Douglas, for your time today. We appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, Dr. Douglas. You as well. For more information about today's topic, check out the TV5 Hot Links page.